Testing.
Kiss the mic while you're talking.
I just want to say...
Okay. Hey, welcome. This is Woodstock Farley here at the Classic Rock Spectacle. And I've got a great night lined up for you. In our first hour, we got a special guest, so we're going to get into some environmental issues. We're looking at some issues tonight behind the microphone that involve the environment. If you've been listening to the program very long, you know that we base most of our music from the 60s and 70s, and those issues were important to us then. They're important to us now. And in the studio, I have with me Michael Burt, grad student here at Tarleton State University, and he also has a degree in wildlife and fisheries from Texas A&M University. And he's had a lifelong passion for wildlife and conservation. And he's recently written a children's book, of which we're going to talk about here tonight, or at least that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. It's called Kody the Conservation Pup, subtitled Helps Tori Cross the Road. So Michael, welcome to the show, and tell us about Kody the Conservation Pup.
Well, hey Woodstock, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, Kody the Conservation Pup was born out of a lifelong passion of conservation and wildlife management.
Who's Tori?
Tori is a Texas tortoise. Not many people know that he even exists, and he's the only native tortoise species in Texas.
Tell us about the format of the book, because I really like the way this is laid out. What reading level would you say this book is for?
I tried to aim it at 2nd to 4th graders.
Okay. And there's more than just the story in here. It's an excellent story. I've read it several times now. But you've got pages to color in here, and you've got photographs of the turtle and fun facts about the turtle, and then even some activities in here. There's even which is very good for a children's book, a dictionary. Most children's books are introduced, their vocabulary increases by the books they read, and you've got a nice little dictionary here. What caused you to put it together in such a manner, besides just telling the story?
Well, in my experience and the books that I looked at and growing up with children's books, I was always a wildlife fanatic, so I would always go for the wildlife books wherever I could. And what I noticed is that you either found a book that was entirely fact-based, and which was cool. You had the real pictures, you had the interesting facts, but you didn't have that fun, interesting story to it. And then some books, you just had the interesting story, but you didn't have any facts.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to combine it, and I wanted to make this a one-stop shop for a kid. So a kid can pick this book up and he gets a fun story, he gets real facts, he gets the realistic pictures, and he gets activities that he can do at home with his parents, with the teachers, and a dictionary in case there's words that are a little bit above what he knows or she knows. It's really an all-inclusive, intertwined book, which I wanted it to be extremely fact-based, so I got in with the state herpetologist with Texas Parks and Wildlife, Andy Glusenkamp. I got with Paul Crump from the Houston Zoo, and I got with Dr. Thomas DeMar, with the Gladys Porter Zoo down in Brownsville. And all three of these guys work with the Texas tortoise in different ways. And so what I did was I brought together three people who are separated geographically, but their main goal is the same, and that's to save the Texas tortoise. The main thing that I wanted to focus on with the book is their main adversary. Which is? The road. The road, okay. The road.
Yeah, I have a lot of trouble crossing that myself sometimes, late at night. And I guess, and that comes out in the story. Mm-hmm. Because as Tori's trying to cross the road, he encounters these beasts, which, as you read the book, which has some really excellent illustrations. The beast, of course, are the roaring beast are the cars, the automobiles. I wanted to read just a small passage. This caught my eye when I read this, and I didn't prompt you about this, so I don't know if you have any input on this, but it's a couple of lines in here by the tortoise and by Kody that I thought was really nicely done. This is the tortoise. It says, "I'm too old to use my imagination," said the tortoise sadly. "You're never too old to use your imagination," Kody reminded him. Of course, Kody didn't have the slightest clue if there was an age and where you lost your imagination. And I like that line because it reflection on you with those lines, in the sense that, you know, sometimes when we get involved in a project, we think, I'm not going to get that done, or our imagination shuts down, our creativity shuts down, and we don't get anything done. And here you are, because I remember when I met you a while back talking about this book, and it was still not at the printers. It was an idea. And here we are, your imagination, your creativity made this thing a reality. Is that something that, with all that you're involved in, is that something that guides you in your life, that you see things through your imagination and you bring those things to reality, do you think?
Definitely. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yeah.
And I like to quote that because the main aspect of Kody and how he solves his problems is using his imagination.
Right.
And so my main statement, one of the main statements that I'm trying to make, is that you're never too old to use your imagination. And some of the hardest problems in our lives and in the world around us can be solved with imagination.
Yes.
Have to be solved with imagination. Because the regular stuff, the pessimism, the shutdown, you know, life can be a drag. And life can take a lot out of you. But to stand there and make a definitive statement saying, I'm not going to shut down my imagination, you know, just because times are hard or people are being pessimistic. You know, pessimism doesn't solve anything.
Right.
Imagination, optimism, and perseverance is what solves problems.
Again, why I like the book, not only are you teaching young people the value of looking out for these animals and preserving their existence, but you're encouraging them to in other areas as well. And so it's really a delightful tale. Say, any final thoughts?
What I think we should all do is try and make the world a different place and try and make it for the best. There's a lot of hard stuff, there's a lot of things that can come up against you, but you got to just keep pushing forward and do what you love, do what you're passionate about, no matter what. No matter what. And when you do that, you'll find out that it may be rocky at first, but you'll succeed and you're going to have a blast living every day to the fullest.
I want to thank you all so much for being on the show tonight and bringing this to our attention, Kody. And before you go, you got to sign my copy of my book. But again, I want to thank you, and I think we need to do one last song here, honoring Michael and his love of the Beatles. Here's Octopus's Garden. You're listening to KTRL 90.5 FM, Stephenville.